I am Mr. Pumped, and today I will be ranking the main shoulder exercises to build those 3D shoulders you probably want. Shoulders are for sure one of the most aesthetic muscles, so after watching this video you will learn everything about shoulders, including frequency, best exercises, and useful tips to reach the most potential of this muscle. So smash that like and subscribe button, and let's get started. But before starting ranking exercises, we should make clear an important question. How often should you train your shoulders? My recommendation is to hit them 2 times per week for maximum results. In this way, your shoulders will be able to recover very well and you will optimize your muscle growth. As you know, the shoulder is divided into 3 heads: the anterior, the lateral, and the posterior head. So this will be the order in which I will rank the exercises. Let's start with the anterior head. The first exercise is a classic dumbbell overhead press, an essential exercise with which to start your routine. You can perform this exercise standing, but it is best to use a bench. Using dumbbells allows for a more natural movement and activates the anterior head of the shoulder. It is an exercise very versatile, very effective, and should not be missing in any shoulder routine, which is why this exercise gets S tier for sure. But this is not the only way to do overhead press. It can also be done with the barbell, which is also a good exercise. However, it can be annoying for some people due to the unnatural position of the wrists. Not only that, but it also requires core strength and stability to be able to do it. You will definitely get results with this exercise too, but I am going to give it B tier. You thought this was the last type of overhead press. Well, there are still several more variants. The overhead press can also be performed with this type of machine that is usually found in all gyms, and the truth is that it works very well because it gives you a lot of stability, simulating doing an overhead press with a barbell, but with more safety. However, this machine can also be a little unnatural for some people, and since for me, there is nothing like doing it with dumbbells, this type of overhead press gets a position. Well, now let's get to the last type of overhead press, the behind-the-neck overhead press. Maybe you didn't even know this type of press existed, but in fact it does, and although you see few people doing it, I couldn't forget to include it in the video. Well, this exercise has a high injury rate, and although many people may recommend it because it feels like a different stimulus and it's cooler, I wouldn't recommend it when you can do a normal overhead press. I value the health of my shoulders more than trying this type of injurious exercise, which is why this exercise gets the C position. The next exercise is a bit peculiar because it was invented by Arnold. It's called the seated Arnold Press, and it's a fantastic exercise to add a bit of variety to your routine. You may not have heard of it either, so I'm going to explain how to do it. Begin by sitting on a bench while holding dumbbells in front of you, keeping your elbows close to your waist with your palms facing your shoulders, similar to finishing a bicep curl. While avoiding the elbows flaring, raise the dumbbells overhead and twist the wrists until the palms are facing away from you, causing the dumbbells to spiral upwards. Now that you know how to do this exercise, you may or may not find it interesting, but just to add a little variety to the routine, and it also provides a good stimulus to the shoulders, I'm going to put it in the B position. The next exercise is called Landmine Press and consists of lifting a bar anchored to one side like a T-row bar, using one hand in this way, activating the anterior head of the shoulder. I sincerely consider that this exercise is not the right one if what we want is to increase our shoulder strength, as it requires a lot of stability, and I don't see it as a progressive overload over time. I would say that in comparison with a normal overhead press, it falls very, very short. That's why I'm going to put it in the D position. And to finish with the anterior head of the shoulder, we are going to mention the front raises and their variants. The first and simplest way to perform front raises is with dumbbells. This is a very good exercise to activate the anterior head of the shoulder after having done overhead press and thus finish burning the muscle. However, you have to be careful with the technique, or you may injure your shoulder rotator cuff as with the other exercises I've mentioned. It's a solid A. We are going to continue with a very good way to perform front raises. You are also going to take a rope, tie it to a pulley, and pull it under your legs to perform the front raises. If you don't have a rope, you can also perform this exercise with a barbell. I find that using the pulley gives us more tension throughout the entire movement, which causes a greater stimulus to the muscle. That's why this exercise is even better than doing it with dumbbells in my opinion. Therefore, I am going to give it the S tier. And the last way to perform front raises is with a weighted plate. Basically, you take a weight that suits your capabilities and lift it by grabbing both sides forward. I think this is the least common exercise, but it is also a valid way to do front raises. Finally, this exercise is less natural than doing it with dumbbells, and it does not offer the same tension as in the cable. I would give it the C position. Alright, now let's move on to the lateral, and here there are fewer exercises to mention. The first exercise is lateral raises with dumbbells, a classic that you can't miss in your routine if you want to increase the 3D size of your shoulders. But keep in mind to use a weight that allows you to do a range of reps between 8 and 14. You can also include drop sets to provide very good stimulation to the shoulder. So this exercise without any doubt takes the S position. But as I said before, I really like pulleys, and this exercise can also be performed using a cable, which also provides tension throughout. So if you are tired of doing dumbbell lifts, or if you just want to try something new, I recommend you to use the cable to get equal or even better results. So this exercise is also brought to the S position. Let's move on to the last but not least way to do lateral raises, which is using this machine. In fact, popular bodybuilders like CBum include it in their routine. Surely your gym has this type of machine, and that's why I recommend you to try it at least once. But I also advise you not to replace your dumbbell or cable lateral raises by simply doing it with this type of machine, as free weights like dumbbells will always provide a more natural stimulus to the muscle. But since this is still a great exercise, I am going to give it the A position. So gym bros, we're done with the lateral shoulder head, so let's move on to the posterior head, and the first exercise I'm going to rank is the dumbbell reverse fly. Basically, this exercise targets the rear delts and upper back, and it should be done on an incline bench if you want to be much more comfortable than doing it standing. Slowly raise the weights until your elbows are level with your shoulders. Believe me, on this exercise, you won't be able to lift a lot of weight, but you will be doing very good work to your posterior shoulders, so this exercise is taken to the A position. But this is not the only way to perform this exercise. If you are still a beginner or don't want to lie down on a bench, you can do it on a machine. It all depends on the quality of the machine in your gym, but generally these machines work quite well and isolate the posterior shoulder correctly. Remember to rest your chest against the pad and move your arms at an angle of up to 90 degrees, but no more, or you may injure your shoulder rotator cuff. This exercise also gets A position. And there is also one last way to perform this exercise, which is by using a pair of cables from a pulley. In this exercise, you will be standing and performing the same movement pattern as in the previous two variations. Okay, this exercise might be a bit complicated if you haven't been in the gym for a long time, but I have to tell you that using cables will almost always be better because of the better muscle tension. This exercise for me takes the S tier. Now let's go to the Facepull, a very popular exercise that is also performed using a rope attached to a pulley. This exercise could be classified as one of the best exercises to work the back and posterior shoulder. You won't be able to add much weight to this exercise either, as it will require more stability from your body, and you will probably be using poor technique to stand up. So this exercise for me takes the A position. And the last exercise in my ranking of shoulder exercises is the dumbbell upright row. This exercise, like the Facepull, also stimulates the trapezius and upper back in general. It can be performed with a barbell or dumbbell, whichever is more comfortable for you, and is basically an upward rowing exercise. In my opinion, this exercise trains more the trapezius than the posterior shoulder, and as there are better exercises to isolate the posterior shoulder, that's why I had included it in the B position. And this is my ranking of the top shoulder exercises. Do you agree with it? Is there anything you would change? Let me know in the comments so we can grow this community. Subscribe and like if you liked the video, as that would help me a lot. Moreover, as I am not a professional trainer, please ask your gym coach to learn the correct technique to avoid any kind of injury. Thanks for watching. See you soon.